In December, Bangladesh went to the polls, with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina securing a landslide victory. She said she won on the back of Bangladesh's impressive economic record and a decade of growth. Her opponents say she stole the election.
We are rejecting the results.
While international monitors accuse her of silencing her critics and muzzling the press.
The gagging of the media, the extrajudicial killings, the disappearances.
So, is Bangladesh becoming a one-party state? And whilst hosting over 1 million Rohingya refugees fleeing Myanmar, how long can and will Bangladesh protect them?
I'm MEHDI HASAN, and I've come here to the Oxford Union to go head-to-head with gAUHAR RIZVI, the International Affairs Advisor to Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and a historian and former academic. I'll challenge him on whether democracy is dying in Bangladesh and whether his country should be doing more to help Rohingya refugees.
Tonight, I'll also be joined by Tasneem Khalil, a Swedish-Bangladeshi journalist and author of Jallad, Death Squads and State Terror in South Asia. Saeeda Muna Tasneem, Bangladesh's High Commissioner to the UK and Ireland, and Abbas Faiz, a South Asia analyst at the UK's Essex University who previously worked for Amnesty International for more than 30 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome gAUHAR RIZVI. gAUHAR RIZVI has held senior positions in universities around the world, including Oxford, Harvard, and the University of Virginia. He's worked for the Prime Minister for a decade, and his role is the equivalent to that of a cabinet minister. gAUHAR RIZVI, following your party, the Awami League's recent landslide election victory in December, it does look more and more like Bangladesh is becoming a one-party state, does it not?
I'm surprised that you would say that. This has been said earlier by a number of people.
So it's not that surprising?
No, but I'm surprised that you said it.
Okay. Because
as one who has studied politics, you will understand that just because a party has been elected 3 times, it is not a one-party state.
The reason you're being called a one-party state is not just because you win lots of elections, as you say, many parties do that. It's the margin by which you win. Just to be clear, of the 300 seats contested in the December election, how many seats did your ruling coalition win in Parliament?
288.
288 out of 300?
Yes.
How many did the opposition win?
Well, let me put this question to you.
288 to 7.
Let me put this question to you differently. Give me one good reason why the opposition should have been voted into power. They did not have a manifesto. They were ambivalent whether they will go into an election or not.
So you're comfortable with a 96% of the seats? That's what you want? Yes. Sheikh Hasina is now winning the kind of percentage victories that Bashar al-Assad and Kim Jong-un win. 96%.
Right.
You're comfortable with that in a democracy? No, you're fine with that?
No. I think the comparison is totally irrelevant. Here, there were 39 political parties contested in the election. Free and fair elections took place. Large number of international observers were there who saw it for themselves. Who would not vote for a government? 39 political parties contested in the election. Free and fair elections took place. Large number of international observers were there who saw it for themselves. Who would not vote for a government which has performed so brilliantly by any count? And if you want me, if you give me...
There are many brilliant governments and they win 50, 60, 70%. Okay, you say it's a free and fair election. Let's deal with that point. As you know, the European Union has said there were, quote, significant obstacles which have tainted the electoral campaign and the vote. Transparency International studied 50 constituencies in Bangladesh and found serious irregularities in 47 of them, including fake votes, ballot stuffing, voters barred from entering polling stations. The BBC have footage of a stuffed ballot box in the port city of Chittagong. Are the BBC and Transparency International just making this all up?
One of my closest friends is the head of Bangladesh Transparency International.
Okay.
So I'm not going to impute any...
So then deal with the report, 47 out of 50.
I would like... No, the Election Commission found irregularities in 15 or 19, I forget the exact number of polling stations. And when you remember, there were 40,000 plus polling stations. So if
But here's what I don't get.
15 or 19.
It's not that it's 15 or 19, it's that
irregularities.
your friend's organization looked at 50 seats and 47 of them turned out to have irregularities.
I am yet to
That's
see
something, I can't do the maths off the top of my head, but that's like 95%. It's like your margin of victory.
No,
Isn't the problem that Human Rights Watch describes how opposition members have been arrested, killed, and even disappeared in the months running up to the election? There was a, quote, atmosphere of fear. 150 opposition members were arrested just 2 weeks before the election. Surely that cripples your election campaign if the government keeps arresting your members.
These were people who committed arson and killing in the months of January to March 2015. After that, they went underground. They hid. At the time of the election, they resurfaced. There were allegations, criminal charges against them. And so when they resurfaced, they were arrested.
Well, I just want to deal with some of the people you put criminal charges against in the opposition. You said that a man called Mintu Kumar Das, a Dhaka BNP leader, was charged with blocking a road in September 2018. The problem is he died in 2007. Isn't this embarrassing for your government?
Of course it is embarrassing.
You're throwing criminal charges at opposition members who are dead.
You know, when such charges are made, it is embarrassing. But one knows that in police investigation, in many societies, especially in developing countries, often have these shortcomings.
It's not just the opposition that have been on the brunt of your government. The media have had some issues, I think it's fair to say. Let me quote you. You said civilization cannot flourish without freedom of expression.
Indeed. Censorship
never works, which is a good line, but in practice, there have been numerous examples of media crackdowns. Perhaps the most famous case is out of the photojournalist Shahid al-Alam, who was dragged from his house by police after documenting a student protest in August and then criticizing your government on this channel, actually, on Al Jazeera English. Sheikh Hasina, your prime minister, described Mr. Alam as, quote, mentally sick. Do you think he's mentally sick, or is he just a journalist trying to do his job?
Those who are familiar with the media in Bangladesh will know one thing. It is free, it is vigorous. Shahid al-Alam was not arrested for appearing on Al Jazeera and making a comment. He was arrested for spreading disinformation, which was inciting violence. Shahid is my very close friend.
Shahid al-Alam told reporters outside court in August that he was beaten so badly by police that his tunic needed washing because of all the blood. He was jailed for 107 days and said he was tortured. Is that how you treat your friends?
Listen, I have not said a word about his treatment. All I have said is Shahid is a close friend of mine, and when he was arrested, I took it on myself to make sure that he was given proper medical treatment. His family was able to carry food for him.
Okay.
And
why did he need medical treatment?
Well, not because of the beating that you said.
You're denying that he was beaten by the police?
I did not deny that. Because I cannot deny it because I do not know what happened.
Okay.
All I am going to say...
Is your friend mentally sick?
No.
Why did the Prime Minister say he's mentally sick?
I have no idea about that. I don't know what she had in her mind, but if somebody spreads disinformation, which endangers life, which incites violence...
What was that disinformation, just before we move on?
That there were several people killed and whose dead bodies were hidden in Awami League office in Dhanmandi. Women were raped. And, no, just wait, don't say no.
Hold on. But even if it was false, you think it's worth locking him up?
I stand by my court, and I will go to my death saying the same thing, that without freedom of expression, our civilization will collapse. So, on the other hand, the government has responsibility to protect citizens.
Agreed. Let's bring in our panel, who are waiting patiently to come in here. I'm joined by Tasneem Khalil, a Swedish-Bangladeshi journalist, author of Jallad, Death Squads and State Terror in South Asia. Tasneem, do you think it's fair to say that Sheikh Hasina is turning Bangladesh into a one-party state, into an authoritarian state, as many journalists are claiming, especially in the West?
Yes, Mehdi. Sheikh Hasina has not only turned the country into a one-party state, and she has very successfully done that. She has very capable advisors like Dr. RIZVI, who would come on international television and very eloquently, try to defend her. But the truth remains that Bangladesh is a country where people are picked up from their homes, they're abducted, they're kept in secret detention. There is a program of enforced disappearances. People are extrajudicially executed. people are imprisoned in thousands. I mean, we saw during the recent elections. And even anyone who the regime thinks that is a problem, they go after him or her with absolute viciousness.
And just on his point about free and fair media, everyone in this hall would agree it's a free, fair, vigorous media. You're a journalist, you no longer live in Bangladesh. What's your view?
Well, Bangladesh is a country where journalists are beaten mercilessly by the goons of Bangladesh Chhatra League, the student wing of Bangladesh Awami League. We have video footage. Of course, Dr. RIZVI would say, well, 1 or 2 journalists getting beaten up, that's nothing to care about, maybe. But it's a very, very dark situation.
Okay, before I bring back in gAUHAR RIZVI, I'm going to go to Saeeda Muna Tasneem, who's Bangladesh's High Commissioner to the UK and Ireland. When you hear Tasneem speaking there, it's a litany. But thousands behind bars, extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances. Must make your job quite hard defending the Bangladeshi government here in the West, here in the UK.
But Tasneem doesn't even live in Bangladesh, so you know he's seeing Bangladesh from outside, just like you're doing.
Why doesn't he live in Bangladesh?
I have no idea.
Okay, we'll come
So what I'm saying is that Bangladesh definitely, you know, in the history of Bangladesh in press freedom, if you look at the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, even until 2000, there was just one private TV channel. Right now, Sheikh Hasina, between 2009 and 2018, has opened up the media and 32 private TV channels every day, 90 political talk shows. Sheikh Hasina has been criticized left and right. There are newspapers criticizing Sheikh Hasina, and the parliament she's been criticized. So why wouldn't Bangladesh have press freedom? She doesn't need to put anybody's voice down.
There are also people being arrested for criticizing her too. A woman,
it's just,
a woman for doing a post on Facebook was arrested about
That's a fraction. That's a small fraction. That doesn't mean that Bangladesh doesn't have press freedom.
Before I bring in Abbas Faiz, Tasneem, very quickly, why don't you live in Bangladesh anymore?
As a journalist, I cannot operate independently in the country. I would be abducted, I would be tortured, like Shahidul Alam, my colleague.
And when was that? Which period did he leave the country? Before Sheikh Hasina came into office?
But he's given many examples as well. Let me bring in Abbas Faiz, a South Asia analyst at the UK's Essex University, previously worked for Amnesty International for more than 30 years. Abbas, Tasneem mentioned enforced disappearances as well, something I'm going to bring gAUHAR RIZVI back on as well. Can you shed some light on what is going on in Bangladesh with these claims being made about people disappearing?
Well, what is happening in Bangladesh under the current government's watch is really very unacceptable. In terms of democracy, all the independent institutions of the state have been weakened. The parliament has become an extension of the government, and all of these things have happened by the support of people, intellectuals like Mr. gAUHAR RIZVI, who are actually falsifying the nature of the issues. Now, to just go back to the enforced disappearances, the way it happens that a group of plainclothes officers go to the house of the people, they collect them, they take them away, and then the police, the security agencies, and all of those people, they just say that they don't have any knowledge of them.
Do you want to respond to Abbas Faiz?
I think if you are saying, Abbas, that this is the government policy, I fear you are mistaken. Government does not need to disappear people. Government have authority to arrest people if they feel somebody has done things wrong.
But you have the responsibility to protect them.
And to remand them.
Okay. Are you denying that people like Mir Ahmed bin Qasim, Hassan Ali, Shafiq al-Islam Modu, who were in front of their families in many cases, were taken by plainclothes police officers on CCTV in one case? Were they not taken?
I am going to say again.
Are you denying
and again,
that?
No, I'm
you asked me for evidence.
It is most deplorable if this is true, if this were to happen. But other names were also given. The same set of people have resurfaced and are openly moving around in the society.
But not all of the names. If the British government and the US government and Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch and Bangladeshi human rights groups are all saying that people are being disappeared, shouldn't you investigate that?
Of course we will investigate.
Independently.
Okay. I want to ask you about the War Crimes Tribunal set up in 2010 by the Bangladeshi government to bring justice for the atrocities that were committed during the War of Independence in 1971.